Hello and welcome to Biz Daily. I'm Jon Jordan. So the big news today is that GungHo has released its financial figures for the year 2015. So GungHo is not particularly well known still in the West, but is one of the biggest mobile games companies in the world. The reason it is known is for a game called Puzzle and Dragons. So Puzzle and Dragons has been released in the West, has been moderately successful, but Puzzle and Dragons is a massive success in Japan. So it was released originally 4 years ago. It's kind of a match game that has very deep elements, metagame elements to it, some kind of card elements as well. And it is still one of the top grossing games in Japan after 4 years. So the figures they announced were sales for the year 2015 were $1.3 billion, and operating profit was about $600 million. So on the face of it, amazingly good figures. Particularly the ratio of profit to sales. I mean, almost kind of half of its sales were operating profit. That's pretty good. And Puzzle and Dragons, as a single game, or as a series of games, there's a few different versions of it, that accounted for 89% of all the sales. So it's still a billion-dollar game on an annual basis in terms of the sales it produces for GungHo, which is pretty incredible for a 4-year-old game. The difficulty for GungHo is actually, after 4 years, perhaps unsurprisingly, is the number of people playing Puzzle and Dragons is in slow decline, and the revenue they're generating is in decline as well. That's kind of to be expected. That's not to say they're doing anything wrong. They actually have done an incredibly good job to keep that game going so well for 4 years. But sales actually for the year so 2015 compared to 2014, sales were down 11%, and profit was down about 23%. And actually for every quarter, so for every 3-month period during 2015, sales and profit were down. So I guess we can call it a relative decline for GungHo. I guess many companies would like to be in the same situation where they just have had a massive, enormous kind of game that's producing billion dollar sales every year. And there are a few, there are a few companies who've been lucky enough to do that, but there's not very many of them. And it's very rare to have a game that can, after 2 or 3, 4 years, still produce $1 billion in revenue. There are a few, obviously. Supercell have a few of those games, Candy Crush, Game of War, a few, but those are the exception than the rule. So GungHo's still doing incredibly well, considering. I guess the issue is how long that kind of long tail of Puzzle and Dragons will continue, or will it suddenly drop off? Will the sales kind of decline quicker than we're expecting? The other problem for GungHo is it hasn't really had any even kind of secondary successes. It has had a few kind of games it's released since then. There's one called Summoner's Board. It's done about 5 million downloads, but nothing like anything on the scale of GungHo. The other problem for GungHo is it's very focused on the Japanese market. So while Puzzle and Dragons has done okay in North America, about 9 million downloads, it's not really broken out of its Japanese market. And the Japanese market is one of the most profitable, most lucrative in the world. So if you're going to go big, that's the market to go big in, really. But I guess on a strategic level, GungHo hasn't really done very much of its success. Obviously, it did have a share it did buy some shares in Supercell, but then that got bought up by SoftBank, which also owns a big chunk of GungHo. So that's kind of the issue for GungHo. And actually, if you look at its shares over the last year, its shares have dropped about 30%. So kind of investors aren't particularly happy, I suppose, about the long-term trend. So that's the news today. We're in a financial period now, so there'll be a lot of other companies releasing their financials. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to come back to our YouTube channel, the Biz Daily, and find out what the news is tomorrow. Hope to see you then.